Oh, I feel like we've done this way too much this season. Oh my days.
I'll tell you what. I was yawning my head off, man. Royal in that. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please give it a like if you enjoy the content. Give it a like if you didn't enjoy the result. Give it a like if you almost fell asleep. Give it a like if you don't think we went to the moon. Right. Let's start with the positives. The under-18s, 19s were banging today, and Mason Greenwood was electric. Almost feels unfair. Start with another positive. We've got a Discord chat of Patreon members who've been banging us some questions in, so I'm going to come to those guys. If you're not a Patreon member, you get behind-the-scenes vlogs, all kinds of shit like that. But the biggest perk, and big up to Ryan for sorting this out, and the rest of the guys that have been sorting this out, there's a really vibrant matchday chat of about 100 United fans in there. You have to come and see it to see how banging it is, but it's really good. So if you'd like to get involved in that, a bit of extra matchday content, and should we call it like a support group at the moment? Then Patreon is where you'll find that. Link is in the description below. You guys in the comments, give me some questions. You guys on Patreon, we've got the Discord questions chat here. I'm going to come to those. I've seen Jose's comments. I don't like Jose's comments. I think this result leaves us with more questions than answers, because if we'd have lost today, there wouldn't have been many questions. I think people had just been like, that's it. It's you can't turn this around, call it a day. If we'd have won, that would have been great, obviously, for Champions League survival and progression, but it would have left us with probably more questions. Exactly. And 0-0, you just kind of go, I don't know what's going on. Do you guys know what's going on? Do you know what's going on?
I think we've hit almost, I think for me, since Sir Alex has left, this has been the worst point. Because under Moyes... Losing
back-to-back games under Moyes, Newcastle and Everton was pretty bad.
That's what I'm coming to, talking about Moyes. Because I think under Moyes, you look at it, as in tactically, he didn't understand what he was doing. He clearly wasn't fit for the job. With Mourinho, it's like Jose Mourinho. Like, you expect so much from him, and up until Sevilla last season, I really did think he was the guy, and I thought he would bring them out, and especially in the amount of big games we won last season. For me, I haven't looked at the comments yet, but like you said, it was similar to Sevilla. It was. So if it's anything like that, I think we're nearing towards the end, and unfortunately,
they weren't quite as bad as Sevilla, because Sevilla was gross. Sevilla was like,
it's what kick-started this, isn't it?
Are you taking the piss, mate? Yeah, I mean, we've had blips in between of positivity. The derby being one, obviously making a cup final. The performance against Spurs at Wembley was another good one. The subsequent performance against Chelsea in the final was not a good one. But this inconsistency is worrying. Now, I've said in my full-time Devils fan cam, definitely go check that out after you've done it. They'll all be getting uploaded around about now. We're not set up to be a successful club off the pitch at the moment. Like, you have to... how can I describe this? Like, if you're trying to raise a kid, you can't be, like, keeping him up all night and... not having a structure in place that allows them to be a successful kid, like that allows them to get everything that they need to do the homework and to go to school clean and in a nice uniform and all that lot. If everything's going tits up in your home life, it's going to be reflected in your kid. I know this is going off on a mental tangent, but United are treating our kid like shit. Our kid's turning up at school without socks on. Like, do you know what I mean? Without a wash, the dirty, smelly bastard. He's not set up to be a successful kid. We are neglecting our children. And I believe the children are the future. Right, I'm fucking, I don't even know what to say, man. I think it is up my arse.
Let's dive into a bit of football talk and how the game...
Do we have to?
We have to.
I haven't got the Instat data just yet, unfortunately. If it gets to the end of the video, I might put the stat zone data on, because we can do that on the fly. Make Cameron and Callum shit themselves.
Something different today was Sanchez on the right.
Yeah, first couple of minutes, saw Sanchez on the right. I was like, oh, like it.
I was happy with that because I thought he gets those crosses in, I think, straight away. The problem is when there's no one to play with him on that right side, then someone like Fred to drift in and pass and go, open up space for him, then what's the point of doing that?
I quite enjoyed some of the things he was doing, but he's getting no support again. Let's go back to this. From Valencia. Valencia, honestly. Valencia. Did you say it to me? Someone said it to me earlier. This was, oh no, it might have been Adam. This was Gary Neville against West Brom.
Yeah.
The end. When you've got Dalot, I've still got question marks over him defensively, but...
My days, was Dalot going to leave that much space in defence? I didn't understand what he was doing going forward, and then I didn't understand what he was doing defensively, which isn't Antonio Valencia like from the past few seasons. I mean, he's had his blips, like when he's just dropped off and had bad games, but I've never seen him this bad in terms of his reading of the game. Like, his decision making has become so awful. It's not something that when you gain experience, that drops, like your reading of the game and so on. But it's so confusing when he goes forward. It's always that same sideways pass, and that's what I like about Dalot, especially because we've not really got to see a flow in midfield yet with Dalot. I think if we had like a Matic just holding it down, and then Fred and Pogba.
Do you know what?
It's so simple for me to just play that.
Pereira today instead of Fellaini would have been an absolute dream. Just a good amount of attack. I thought Rashford was excellent today. I thought the fight that he's shown, the quality that he's shown, at times, not always, especially in the first 15-20 minutes, if there was a goal coming, it was going to come from Marcus Rashford. I was very happy with him. I thought Lukaku, I'm a big fan of Lukaku, obviously. I mean, I get clipped up saying that I think he's as good as Ronaldo. Wasn't what I said. Go watch the video, Bellends. I say at times he's quick and powerful, and he didn't show that against Wolves. Yeah. Tonight he didn't even show what he's shown against Wolves. He was terrible. Yeah. He was absolutely terrible. And you look at some of the targets that we was lined up with in the summer, and you see like Mandzukic and stuff like that. Like, Mandzukic isn't going to start for us, but Arnautovic, Mandzukic, even like Shaqiri that Liverpool have got, those are players that would put pressure on Lukaku, or alleviate the pressure on Lukaku.
I always compare it when I was speaking to everyone outside the ground, and I've spoke about this 2 weeks in a row. I always compare it with what United had in '99 or even 2008, 11, 12. In terms of the striker options, you had '99 Teddy Sheringham, you had Solskjaer, York, and Cole. If someone's not had a good game,
they did all right, didn't they?
They did all right. If two of them didn't have a bad game because we played with the front two, exactly, that's the best example of that. But in terms of confidence and what it does for a player,
had a brilliant partnership. Yeah. York was European Golden Boot. Andy Cole played a huge part in the success that season. Didn't work for them in the game. The substitutes was thrown on. I think Cole came off. I think York was still on. Yeah, I think York might have stayed on. And the substitutes get you the goal. That was utilisation of a squad. And it's funny that you say that, because I was actually thinking today, watching, I don't know, one of the 900 corners that I saw get taken. And I was thinking, if we replayed the Champions League final right now, just that last 3 minutes, we're not fucking winning it.
No chance.
Because we couldn't put in a corner. If I put a gun to your head right now and you said, are United going to do anything from this corner, yes or no? You'd be like, absolutely not.
I'd just say put the bonnet in from now.
You'd be like, they're going to hit the first man, nailed on. Like, you could bring David Beckham back right now and he's going to hit the first fucking man. I don't know what we are doing. I do not know what we're doing in corners at the moment. It's ridiculous. Corners, people still clap when we get a corner, and I find it mad. What are you clapping for? I'd rather clap a throw-in. We're doing jack shit from this pissing thing.
I always say that as well. It's like getting a throw-in. It's like a goal kick. I'm not going to get anything. I'd rather get a goal kick and hit it towards Fellaini and knock it down.
I hate that that's an option. I hate that that's an option because you see us default to that so many times. I hate how we dilly-dally in that box at the side of the box trying to figure out what's going on, and everyone's standing still. And you've nailed it a few times, mate. The lack of movement kills us, which is why we look good on a break sometimes, because players are actually playing forward then.
Yeah. What
happens is, a lot of the times this happened under Louis van Gaal, this even happened under Moyes to an extent, we just don't cross it as much as we did then. When a team does go into that low block against us and go deal with it, beat us, break us down, United don't have the capability to do it.
Yeah.
We all go and take up the positions you're meant to take, and then we start trying to put balls into the back post. We put crosses in, but we're putting crosses into players standing there looking at the ball, not people attacking it. That's why I didn't ever like Ashley Young's way of crossing it, because he'd go, he'd stop, he'd check, he'd come back, and then he puts a cross into people that are standing still.
There's enough time for defenders to then look at their positioning, look who to look at in the box.
That's why Deleu's crossing was different. That's why I really liked Rashford's crossing, because you're getting down to the byline and you're whizzing it in. Someone says, I'm a twat in the comments. Cheers. My mum was still on at this time of night. But you've also got to ask, what kind of fucking loser is just commenting shit on YouTube? I don't think The Rock's doing that, is he? Michael Jordan going home and calling people a bellend on YouTube. I don't think he was he? Got to fucking look in the mirror, haven't you fuckwit? Anyway. I don't know where we go from here. Like I said on the Full-Time Devils video, we're not set up to be successful. So if you fucking sack the guy now, what are you going to do? Whoever you bring in is eventually going to have the wheels fall off, because the structure and the infrastructure behind him isn't there to make him successful.
I think the real concern for fans should be, and unfortunately fans don't see that as a real concern, and we all have our heated moments. Myself, I have that as well, in terms of like, just like the manager, bring someone in.
I'm going to put, for everyone's benefit, I'm going to put a video on Abdul when we watch a match on the telly.
I did tell him do that. I'm going to stop reacting, just do this.
No, you're not.
Nah, I will.
Abdul,
I think they should have been here for the derby.
How mad do you think Abdul would get if you like robbed his chips, right? Think how mad.
Oh, no. Derby is pretty funny. But to be fair, like, just talking about after games and how fans react about sack the manager and all that stuff. If we sack Mourinho, which to me right now, I think it's the decision.
It feels like it's coming. I don't know if it'll come in the morning.
But it feels like it's coming soon, especially Newcastle now.
Oh mate, if we don't beat Newcastle,
he's got to go.
How can you keep him if he doesn't beat Newcastle?
Are they thinking of it in a business sense, in terms of mathematically, as soon as top four's out, that's when we make our decision? But you can't look at football like that.
You've just annihilated a whole season, because mathematically it's going to take you to still March.
To save next season, I think you and Adam spoke about this.
What if we end up in the Europa League?
If we end up in the Europa League, we're looking at 12th or 13th or something. We'll play Chelsea in the final. Why not?
What if we end up in the Europa League? Right, I'm going to go to the Discord chat from the legends on Patreon and see what we're saying. Alex says, where do we go from here? Really thinking about going getting a pizza, to be honest.
Watch out.
Do a bit of comfort eating. It's probably not a good idea, but you asked. From Raf? No, mate, I can't even fucking read that. Fucking hell. What's causing an inability to get rid of the deadwood players at the clubs? How much they're on? They're on some severe contracts.
Yeah.
They're on some proper contracts. So
that's one of the problems. They
don't want to leave, yeah.
That's one of the problems. That, do you know how you and Adam, like I said, you're spot on about earlier, how if you sack Mourinho now, I think the good idea is to the obvious thing to do is just to start rebuilding and sort of gathering what the problems are behind the scenes. I think if you're Ed Woodward, put Carrick and McKenna in place. They might be able to do a job with what they have there. Their understanding of the game's pretty good. We've seen McKenna do really well with the under-18s. Might get a couple of the academy players coming through, and then just allow everyone to just rebuild behind the scenes and see what we can get out of it.
Someone just said we need Rachel Riley in midfield, and I just thought, I was texting her before. I'm just going to see if she's replied. She's not. Not even had that as a good day today. Connor says, is the Newcastle game an easy opportunity to get a run of form started, or is it already time to start planning for the next year, although the board don't know how to? That's the problem. It's like asking me about the third trimester and what to expect. I don't know.
So, like I said, so many questions, man. It's just blowing my mind how we just don't know anything as fans. It's so irritating, isn't it?
Fucking football clubs like asking me.
It's so irritating how we just don't know anything at all. It just irritates you as fans, man.
If Mourinho was to get the sack, would it be better for United to establish a director of football first, then appoint a manager? Yeah, I think it would be. I think it would be. Yeah, I think if he does get the sack, but then. Again, you still need the leadership and direction to do that. To go, we're getting a director of football, and then we get a manager. Because if let's say he wants Zidane, and the word I'm hearing is Zidane doesn't want a director of football, or perhaps doesn't want who we'd lined up for a director of football. So then you don't get a director of football in, which means that if it doesn't work with Zidane, which, fucking hell, Joe, it's 50-50 to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Then you're just going to get rid of Zidane and get the next flavour of the month in.
You know what, I agree with you. I think, like we said, talking about rebuilding what's important in a club, and maybe director of football that comes in, people who understand how they're going to deal with contracts, people who are going to understand which players to let go. I think that's our most important thing right now. I think that's our biggest problem, that no one's understanding the players that need to stay, the players that need to go, the players that have had a fallout with Mourinho. Are they good enough, or is this just a cause of what's happening inside the dressing room? I think someone needs to come in and figure that out quickly before we get on to next season and understand what our targets are for the transfer window and so on.
Someone said earlier, what's a realistic target to the end of the season? I think coming fourth. I don't think we're anywhere near Chelsea, Liverpool or City. Yeah. And I think we can be better than Spurs and Arsenal, but
we can get left behind.
Currently, we could easily get left. We could be the sixth best team in the country.
Spurs, I think, will always find their feet throughout the season, even though they always. I think they always drop off, and that's their problem, is they don't win the trophies. They always drop off, but they will find a level of consistency at one point. Yeah. With Arsenal, I think the way they're playing, I think they will beat the lower sides. It's just whether they'll be able to handle the big games. But if you can't handle the big games, you've got so many points to pick up elsewhere that you probably will be all right to jib in that top four and leave that last battle.
Vivek in the comments says realistic is not fourth. I'm not saying that we're definitely going to come fourth. No. I'm saying that should be our goal, because I think a realistic target is fourth. I think we can get that fourth place. I think you're mad to say no, but I think unrealistic is saying we can win the league at the moment from this position. I think that's ridiculous. Ash says, has Jose lost his bottle playing Matic and Fellaini at home and refusing to change it is weak? Yes. I think he believes that there's a football player in Fellaini, and I disagree.
Oh my God. How do you watch that, as a manager, and say, that's why I don't understand. He brought McTominay on the bench today, whilst he had Fellaini and Matic on the pitch. As soon as Pogba went down for, I think it was a bit of an injury, and McTominay went straight warm in that, imagine that. Are you serious? Where's the movement? And as a manager, do you not look like, I need someone to create now, I need someone to move the ball forward? Yeah. Everyone understands it as fans, the pundits understand it, the ex-footballers that watch it, everyone that understands football watches that and goes, that's what you need. Why is it the manager doesn't see that? And that's where you struggle to defend someone like Mourinho even before. But it's so big, it's so in front of him, just do it, just make that change, it's not hard.
Dirthu says, Ethan Laird looked good. Ethan always looks good, he puts a right good shift in. Chong, Gomez is class. I didn't think Chong and Angel had the greatest games today. I thought Mason just was unbelievable. I thought Jimmy Garner had a decent game. Do you know who impressed me the most today? Probably my man of the match today was Deschamps Bernard at centre-half. Thought he had a really calm, composed game. There was a couple of opportunities. Do you remember the Bobby Moore tackle where he runs alongside, I think it's Pele, he goes down, he stops him, he turns, he plays the ball. That simple, effective defending, I've got a lot of time for that, especially when it's a 17, 18-year-old lad that's doing it. So, yeah, Deschamps Bernard, my man of the match today in the under-19s. I mean, it's great watching them. They had a couple of really good players. The one that we'd heard about beforehand, the lad that's been on their pre-season tour, 16-year-old's fucking enormous. He didn't do nothing at all. They had a number 8, I can't remember his name. It reminded me of Pablo Aimar. It was a bit of a throwback 4 years. He looked really good. Aside from that, they weren't good, and it could have been 6 or 7. There were some balls that Mason played that they should be on Pornhub. Tino says, I don't think Jose will do it, but do you think he should drop Romelu against Newcastle? I think, no, but he needs a rest. I don't know when you give him that rest. Yeah. There's a couple of players. I think Jesse Lingard, I'm not sure he's injured. I think people have said he's injured. I'm not sure he's injured. I think he might be rested. I think some of the players are suffering a little bit from the World Cup, lack of proper pre-season and all the rest of, with all the negativity around the club, I think some people are just a bit dead with it. So I think he really needs a break. Yeah. And as we was touching on before, some of the players that you think of looking at would have really come in and put some pressure on him, but also took some pressure off him. Young boys away, you give him a rest, or in He played in the League Cup, for God's sake.
The way I look at it is
played
like...
in the League Cup, didn't he? I didn't imagine that.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
He did, yeah.
The way I look at it, for me, like I said about having the options of strikers, is if you bring any of those in, if that striker plays, he scores a goal, the game opens up at the end, then Lukaku comes on and gets his goal. Confidence. That then sets his confidence up. That's how Fergie did so well with rotating the strikers, and we'd always seen it.
You wouldn't see them all doing 90 minutes all the time. Uncreative Prike says, do you think our deep line is Jose or the centre-half's lack of confidence in their ability? We don't play that deep a line, to be honest. We really push up forward. I can't get it a lot of the time because I think it's just a lack of movement because everyone's kind of in the same positions that you see a lot of the very best attacking teams are. Yeah. But, I don't know, it's like when someone gives you, like, vegan food and they're like, oh, it's chicken, and you taste it and you go, it's not chicken, dog. I know chicken, that ain't chicken.
Do you know, I think it's the way...
You're like, it looks the same. It's in a bun and everything.
It's the way the team's lined up. I think if you look at the team lining up, you go, Fellaini, Matic. You go, yeah, that's going to be deep.
And but it wasn't.
But that's what I'm saying. But then, why are one of those two pushing up?
Fucking pull your shit up, Insta. Jesus Christ.
Why one of those two players pushing so further up? That would be more suited to a player with better ball carrying ability, better movement, like Fred, Pereira, people that we have in the squad.
I wonder if the international break's an opportunity for some people to have a hamstring injury like you saw my after City team have, but miraculously play the next game back. I think that would be beneficial for everyone involved, to be honest, with what's going on. Connor, I wonder if Fred is thinking, why did I come? And Andreas is thinking, why didn't I leave when a poor Fellaini and Matic played 90 minutes despite doing nothing? I thought Matic was very good, actually. I thought Matic did the simple things really well. I've not got all the data yet, but I remember thinking, watching the game, Matic is having a good game despite everything else that was going on. Matthew, have we seen the end of Pereira? I don't think so. I would have loved to have seen him today, absolutely, but that wasn't the case. Ryan, have I been on the beer? Unfortunately not. I did spill an Heineken at the under-19s, but I've been driving, so, you know, just keep it to 10. I've only had one, before everyone clips that up. Ansy's Red says, how many corners do we have to waste before somebody says we might consider a new approach? We might as well, do you know what, in all seriousness, from a corner we might as well just smash it back to David De Gea and just build up from the back again, because that's probably way more effective than actually trying to take a piss.
So annoying watching us take corners, isn't it, man? It's horrible.
Fred would have been better than Fellaini to build it. Yeah, well, the one thing that I think you can say Fred done is he moves the ball forward, and he moves it forward pretty well. I really like what he does, bringing the ball forward at that kind of tempo. I think he's raw. I think there's a lot of edges to shave off him. But I think I would throw the rawness of Delo in. I'd throw the rawness of Fred in. I'd keep Marcus Rashford at the starting 11, and I would say, let's go and actually attack someone. Someone said earlier, why isn't Jose, if he thinks he's going to lose his job, just like bollocks, play Greenwood or at least, do you know what? I said to Adam before, put the guy on the bench. Now you've just made a new talking point. And if you'd have put the guy on the bench and brought him on today, then you could have just trying to think of a way that Jose Mourinho can start to be smart and play the press at their own game. Yeah? So the press are going to take the piss out of whatever he says, no matter what. So why don't you put that 16-year-old kid on the bench, bring him on for 5 minutes, and when he gets there in the end, he's freshening things up. And do you know what? The way Mason Greenwood's playing, I wouldn't put it past him scoring a goal. If you play him for 290 minutes, I will guarantee that he gets a goal.
You know what impresses me the most about Mason? You said it earlier.
Is it that he's mint?
It's because he's mint, but in terms of when you see some of the quality players in world football at the top, like the world-class players, sometimes they miss that work rate. With like Mason, I've never really watched him until this season. I've heard all the talk about him, but he works so hard on that front line. He presses and he wins the ball back and he gets involved in the play.
Everywhere.
He's everything.
He's everywhere, possibly to his own detriment. Like, not quite what Wayne Rooney used to do, but do you like Wayne Rooney sometimes would be making a tackle on the wing and you'd be like, there's no one in the fucking middle now because you're out on the side. You're kind of getting a little bit of that with Greenwood. But there's things that he's trying. Like, so he tried a shot today. It was a little bit of a different angle, but it reminded me so much of that Ronaldo goal against Porto, that absolute pawn goal that he scored. And he had no right to shoot from where he did, and he was very close with it. And you're just like, he doesn't give a shit.
The volley he scored that day.
Yeah, the volley he scored. And the volley he scored wasn't even the best thing he did in that game.
Yeah.
He is doing things...
His build-up play.
Jadon Sancho at the minute has got a goal, an assist, every 25 minutes in the Bundesliga, which is filthy. Mason Greenwood, a year younger than him now, because he's a first year. When I was watching Sancho for City, Sancho was a second year. Yeah. And he was gangster. And you would hold your breath. When you're watching the under-18s derby... Brahim Diaz, he was good.
Them two
Foden
really
never really stood out.
Yeah, it was always them two, you know. That every time they run at the defence, you're just like...
Sancho would get the ball on that left-hand side, and you go and hold your breath because there was always something going to happen with him. Mason is playing at a higher, more consistent level than what Sancho did. In fact, you know what? I'm going to have a look what Sancho did on UFOC and see what his stats was, because I think they were pretty good, but I think Mason's annihilated.
I think Mason's hold-up play really come into it, like in that game where he scored that volley. Like, I didn't really see that of him as much when I first started watching a few weeks back, but that hold-up play in that game was brilliant, and the given goals, like, he just doesn't miss anything in his game.
We've only got, no one fills it in for City, so we've only got his under-16 stats for England, and it was 8 starts, 1 sub, 8 goals. He is so good.
He's brilliant.
Let's have a gander at what Mason did at that level. I don't think we've got it, to be honest. I don't think he's got England stats like that. But Mason's always played up. He didn't even play for the 16s. He just went straight to the 17s as an under-16. So Mason last season, it was 17 starts, 17 goals, 6 assists. This season it's 7 starts, 10 goals, 3 assists. His England stats aren't on there at the moment, but he's a joke. He's an absolute ridiculous joke. It's funny watching him in a minute, but you're like,
he's like the perfect attacking player. I couldn't ask anything.
Dave shared a picture yesterday of him with his stats. I think it might have been you that shared it, actually. But the neck on the dude, the neck on him's like, God damn. Is he playing second row for Salford, or is he playing up front for United? 16-year-old, 17 now, I guess, yesterday. But Hayden in the comments might just stick to watching under 23s and 18s. Maybe skip the 23s.
Yeah.
Watch the 18s and 19s.
I think I gave up on them like 2 seasons ago.
Tino, can anyone name a top flight league winning team that has 3 6-foot-plus midfielders like we keep playing? That's a very good point. Jose's older teams, I think, might have done. Inter could have done.
Yeah.
Schneider's not really tall though.
Yeah, Stankovic isn't taller either.
A bit of a midget.
I think he had like 2 big midfielders, but not up to 3.
Eric Bayer and Luke Shaw were really good tonight. There was a lot of times Bayer was running around like a lunatic, and I got time for that. I always got time for that. We was talking about Brandon Williams today as well. Brandon, I like Brandon. He's got a real dog in him, like that Escobar, that geezer that we was talking about, that big number 9 that they've got. He's gone through, he's fouled someone, and the ref's blown it up, and Brandon's just kept running and gone straight into the back of him, just with his shoulder. I love that shithousery that he's got, and he's got a real bit of shithousery in it. He came on for Laird injured himself. I hope he's alright, like, but he's ridiculous. A guy in the comment here saying 17 years old, do you really think he can fly the flag for United? No one's saying start the guy for 50 games for the rest of the season, but give him 5 minutes off the bench.
Just said though, really, is bring a different vibe into what you have in the dressing room. Change what the media are going to approach you with.
If Jose brings him on, I'm not even saying he scores, but if Jose brings him on with 10 minutes and he goes through and he has a couple of chances, you've changed the narrative, because now they're not going to ask you about everything he was about to ask you. They're going to ask you about the kid. Exactly. Now on one hand you can say protect the kid, don't give him too much pressure. I'm sorry, I'm not actually an advocate of that. I think that they're playing for Man United, they're going to have to deal with the pressure. And the pressure came up from 0 to 100 rapid with Marcus Rashford.
100%.
And he's dealt with it because he's a professional. And there's a I don't know, I'm going to say dourness, but I'm not trying to be mean when I say it. He's from Yorkshire, so he's got that Yorkshire kind of dourness about him. But I fucking love it. It's like, it's an intense hunger that he's never satisfied. And that's why he comes out more than a goal a game at the moment. The kid's fucking ridiculous. And I'll happily sit here for another 45 minutes talking about him than have to fucking address what just happened tonight.
Imagine having that intensity in that 11 today, just bringing it on, after, just a bit of a spark in there.
Chong brings into... Chong was just not himself today. But Chong brings a serious amount of intensity.
I love how he drifts in the middle at the right time, and that's what we lack. And then goes back out wide. Really, really lack that winger. But I'm not too sure he's built for it yet after watching him in pre-season.
Howson or Abdullah from Tom. What top players would come to United now after being the laughing stock of a club? Loads is the truth. That's the way it goes down, mate.
Yeah.
Jose only likes proven youth players. I hate it. That's why he'll put every good youth player on loan first. I hate it. Scott McTominay didn't go on loan.
Is he? Was he better than Goss? Was he better than Willock?
Nope, not for me.
Not at all.
So don't get out of that, everyone. No, I don't know.
I think Goss would have probably done a better job in that back line against West Ham in terms of calming down the defence with how he plays the ball than McTominay did.
What do I think about Scholes' comments on Mourinho tonight? Abdul was sort of showing us in the car a little bit. Scholes has gone in two-footed by the sounds of things.
Yeah.
I find it very curious that these guys are going in so hard. I almost feel like they've got an agenda because they was suspiciously quiet when Ryan Giggs was still part of the coaching setup at United.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do you guys think? Like the video if you're this far and deep. I bet you lot aren't recording it, are you? Fucking hell. Was going to go up as a podcast later today, but these dickheads have fucked it up for you, haven't they? So blame them. It's not a point, because you can't also upload to Facebook at the same time, can you, Callum? Bean eating Yonner. Fucking hell. Steve, thoughts on Mike Smalling's performance? Saved us from 3 or 4 goals. Did it? I
don't think Smalling was that bad at all.
To be honest with you.
I think in this whole awful few games that we're going through, I think Chris Smalling hasn't been the worst of the lot in that back line. I think he's held his own sometimes, and it's something to say about Smalling. Something good, finally.
Yeah, I know there's a post-it note which says record the stream, which is right next to the computer that you're sitting at. Jesus. Marshall cost us that game, says Anthony Marshall.
Anthony Marshall said he cost us that game. Oh dear.
I'm not 100% sure. They're saying, what did Marshall do? I would agree. I didn't think Marshall looked great when he came on, but I understood the requirement. I still think Fred would have been a better option.
I still don't understand bringing Martial on for Sanchez, but not rotating the midfield. That's because then you're not changing any out.
Move Sanchez as a number 8 or something, or even just as a number 10.
Go 4-2-3-1, then have that extra number 10. Because they had a bit of space in that middle that I don't think we attacked.
Can I just say, Paul Pogba tonight had a good 10 passes.
Yeah.
And touches that were highlight worthy. They were ridiculous, but he also had 3 or 4 things where you just go, "That's ridiculous," in the negative sense. Yeah, if he can cut those, I'm going to call them childish.
For me, though, sometimes it's like I look at the difference in.
Daniel says he loves you guys. We love you too, brother.
Cheers, mate. I look at the difference, for example, between what he did with France. And I don't agree with what people say, he's completely different with France and so on. But then the movement for France is different. The midfield is a lot more balanced. If you look at Pogba, the amount of times he has to turn around.
Ollie Gatley in the comments, does Howson still think that Jose is replicating the Inter-winning side? Stop watching clipped up things by opposition fans, because they're not telling you the truth, are they? All of these videos that have ever been clipped up, from the Pep one back in the day, the truth is out there. And I say some stupid shit. But I don't say half the stupid shit that they're trying to make it out. And they miss the real stupid shit that I have said. They try and make me say things that I didn't say. If you go and watch the Inter video, which loads of you did, I say at the end, I think we're a million miles away from that Inter side. And I also say he's trying to replicate it. I don't say he has, do I? Come on, man. Use your fucking brain. Again, people talking utter bollocks in YouTube comments. Stop it. Fellaini and Matic offer nothing for Pogba. I was thinking this as well. I was thinking if he had runners, Pogba would look incredible.
Yeah, that's my point always with him.
Lukaku let him down today. There's so much. There's so much. Yeah. Thoughts on Gary Cahill to United rumours? I don't think he improves us. What happens if we lose the next match? I think we dropped to about 15th, I think. If we lose to Newcastle, I can't imagine there's anyone thinks that Jose could keep his job. I really don't. I don't get, like, people saying, has he lost his bottle, has he done this, that and the other. I think Jose's problem is he's probably not the greatest man manager in the world, but that's what we see from the outside. When you hear what's going on from the inside, it seems pretty likeable. But there's obviously some sort of friction somewhere. Yeah. There's got to be, for the way it comes out the way it does.
Yeah, digging certain players out in the press conferences never helps.
I don't even want to think about the Newcastle game just yet, I'm going to be honest with you fellas. Should have been Fred and Matt that came on along with Marshall. Keep up the great work, guys, says Paul Clayton. Thank you, brother. Definitely check out Patreon as well for there's going to be some weekly vlogs that's going in there, and the Discord, like I said, Ryan's done an absolutely banging job. It looks like we've got all the United tweets in there. Are we getting all my tweets going in there as well? And did we get the alert from the video going live or not? I don't know. I'll chat to you in a bit about it. Oh my god, there's a shit ton of comments here. Do you think they're formulating an exit strategy? Who?
The players?
Maybe.
You know what? Watching the end of that game, I just had that feeling after the 85th minute that there's almost a divide on the pitch. I don't feel the same intensity spread out of the pitch. I don't know. You might think differently, but I don't think every player had the same level of wanting it.
The players didn't, but they did look like there was. We did look like we was trying to have it a little bit, I think.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The ball to the back post to Fellaini, trying to build something off that, and that was really our only goal. But did every player really want it on that pitch? Is the question.
What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? I think that's the top bottom of it. Is what are we gonna do? Get a like on the video, everybody. Matt Dino, the way United run from the top, strap in, boys, because it's going to get worse before we see any big improvements. Big teams are ruin us the way we are at present. Yeah, I think so. Matt Jarvis says, smash the goddamn like button. Smash it like it's Ed Woodward. Repeatedly. This show is more entertaining than United. I took a shit that was more entertaining than United tonight, earlier. Banging it was. We bought Sanchez. Why can't he play as a 9? Well, he's not really a number 9, is he? He could play as a front man, but he's not going to hold the ball. Have you seen how big he is? There's kids that Jaden go to school with that tower over him. The midfield wasn't creative. Fred for Fellaini would have suited the press and box to box. We need, along with a bit more movement, says Vish. At least Ashley Young is injured. I'd never wish injury on someone, but yeah. Zidane in the summer, says Michael Stanley. I mean, I think once you've decided that, if they have decided Jose's not his man, then you have to just go, now's the time to get rid. The longer you let someone stink the place out, the harder it's going to be to turn around.
That's my point, man. That's my point.
But I also think, like, when I say that I don't believe we're set up for long-term success, Zidane could Zidane, Jardim, even Pochettino, Ryan fucking Giggs, Clayton Blackmore, anybody could come in and lift the team because they're a fresh face. You always see it. It's almost embarrassing how often a new manager gets that first.
I think there's a bit of a hidden hunger in some of the players, some of the people at the club to just, they want to burst out of the situation that we're in and try and get anything, any sort of trophy, any sort of run going, and I think we need someone to get that out of us, and I think it really starts with getting Mourinho out in the right way.
If someone comes in and does decent for a season, which we've kind of seen repeatedly with Van Gaal and with Moyes, with Van Gaal and Mourinho, someone comes in, wins a couple of trophies. This is that perpetual cycle that you see.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen City go through like 30 managers when I was a kid. Some lasting 4 months and stuff. It's not necessarily always about the guy picking the team. Sometimes the club is just not fucking set up to succeed. Look at the way City run now versus how they was running in the 90s. When they had Alan Ball and fucking Brian Orton and all of Frank Clark, and they ran through all of them managers. Was it the managers? Was all of them managers shit? Or was that club not set up to be successful? And that's what I see us going into. That's the issue that I see. When I look at the likes of Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Cardiff, even Chelsea to an extent, they will come in and win something, but they won't retain it because They're not set up properly to be successful, and they go from being champions to toxic so quickly that it's. People say Mourinho only lasts 3 seasons anyway. Look where he lasted 3 seasons. No fucker lasts 3 seasons at Chelsea and Real Madrid. That's unheard of. That is legitimately unheard of. I think no one gets within about like a year of him. Probably not, but whatever. They're not even close to the sort of average tenure that he's pulling up at those.
Yeah.
But those clubs are set up to just be rinse and repeat. I don't want to be a fucking club like that. Now, you can say it's unrealistic to think someone's going to do a decade somewhere. That's what I want.
But I think that all that happens is within the club. There's loads of things that we're speaking about that need to be fixed within the club before you set yourself up, and that's why it's not a bad idea to, if Mourinho does leave within the next 2 weeks, no matter what happens, then we need to sort out whatever problems we have going on behind the scenes, and then maybe Zidane, like you said, if he comes at the end of the season, that's more of a reasonable approach to having a manager coming in next season.
I mean, you can even bring him in now, but someone's got to take charge, and that's why I'd like a director of football,
100%.
Some statesman, some spokesman of the club. Like Zidane kind of did that job a little bit. I don't even think he ever came out in public and said that. But if someone comes out and goes, look, the pressure's off this season. The pressure is off this season. We need to try and get into the top 4. If we don't, then we don't. And we try and build. I don't want to go back into that fucking Europa League bullshit. But, you know, there's... You can name any manager you want, from Ancelotti to Zidane and anybody you want. Anyone you want. Fucking Claudio Ranieri. You won a league recently. Why not him? Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to set the club up structurally. You've got to take the transfer fucking decisions, because if Zidane comes in and he goes, there's my list, Ed, I'd like a centre-half, like Jose did 2 months ago, and he goes, cool story, nerd, there's Chris Smalling. Zidane's going to be like, are you fucking kidding me? What? Like, so someone has to be able to take that responsibility away from Ed Woodward, and it's got to be a football man. It's got to be a football man. Where's Greenwood from? Bradford, I believe. Woodward said if we lose to Newcastle, Jose is out. Where did he say this? Is he on Twitter?
Yeah, he's never spoken about anything at the club. He's not just going to come out and bang that out straight off the bat.
I very much doubt that. After watching the Napoli-Juve game, I am seriously worried. Morata from Juve is on for director of football. I don't think he was a director of football. He was like an actual director of the club, I think.
Yeah, I think he's having a bit of a fallout or something like that with the way the club's run. So most
of the class of '92 were at the game tonight. Why? Well, 2 of them used to be employed by Valencia. Beckham just fancied a game, and Giggs is an international manager, and I guess he's got toss all else to do. So that's probably the top and bottom of it. Someone behind me, it was Paddy. Fuck off, Paddy. Paddy goes, the whole of class of '92. I was like, really? Robbie Savage is here? Kevin Pilkington? Oh, fuck off, they don't count. It's like, yeah, they do count, because Ryan Giggs is class of '91 if you get technical, and Phil Neville's class of '93. Great analysis, guys. I'm not going to accept that as a compliment, because it's not really been analysis tonight. It's been venting. It's been a lot of venting. We might change this to fucking venting rather than analysis. How come City has more brains to run a club than United? I think the top and bottom of it is when Sheikh Mansour came in, he went, I want to win everything.
Yeah.
And then he looked around the people that could get him to do that, and he hired directors of football and sporting directors to do that, and then allowed them to do it.
Yep.
That's literally the top and bottom of it.
Yep.
Whereas United have got a guy that is probably very good. I mean, I don't even know if he's very good. It's fucking Manchester United. I reckon if you put me and you as CEO, we'd sell some shit.
Yeah, man.
We'd sell some deals. Be on the phone to people. I think we'd sell some deals.
I think it was fun.
Whoever managed to sell the naming rights for the training ground, fair fucks. I hope he got a fucking 2-week all expenses paid holiday to Barbados. Because selling the naming rights to a training ground that is down a private road that you're not even allowed to visit was genius. Getting 100 million for that was fucking ridiculous. Fair fucks. But this is Manchester United. Most people would clamour over themselves to be part of Manchester United. I don't get the thinking that he's this fucking genius businessman. I really don't. Because if he was a genius businessman, we'd have had an app a long time ago. Yeah. We'd have been putting all our different shit all over it.
Had YouTube.
We're talking about, we'd have talked about doing digital stuff. Now, United are leading the way in digital. Really? Are we really?
Just lost 3-1 to West Ham, guys, but we've got an
fucking website only got updated this year after looking the same way since 1992.
I swear.
Howson would do a deal with Domino's, you're goddamn right. Or Papa John's. Matter in a midfield three would be fire. The way City play it would. Absolutely. Yeah. Aquila says, who are the people that brought in Fergie and built the club into a juggernaut? We need a board on ownership. Well, Martin Edwards. His book is not on it, it must be in there. Brought in Fergie. People saying Julian Nagelsmann in the comments. He would get my vote. I think he's going to Leipzig by all accounts. By the looks of things, you know, there's very little involvement now from Martin Edwards. He stepped down. He is president, but it's a title job. He doesn't do anything. I don't even think he sits on the board meetings. He essentially now is like, he's got a free season ticket for life.
I'll take that.
And a posh seat. It's not a bad job.
Yeah.
I think he's not allowed to slag the club off in public if he wants to keep it. You can go check out my podcast with him. And you can see some really obvious cuts in there where things were said that he wanted redacted. But he's a sound guy. And we did it in his living room. We shot it in his living room. He's like, just come to my house and we do it in my living room. I was like, alright, fucking happy days. Will we get out of the group? The thing is, Valencia can get up a run of steam against young boys now who could be the whipping boys of the group and leave us for dust. And we've got to go to Valencia to get a result. And we've got to play Juventus as they're doing that.
Oh, no.
Jesus. Honestly thought Sir Alex would play a role. Sir Alex has earned everything he needs to earn for the club. He doesn't need to do a day's work for us no more. What about Rennie Mullenstein? I think Rennie has proven himself to be a fucking phenomenal coach. I just wonder what... I mean, I don't know what the step up is because he hasn't managed to replicate his success as a coach, as a manager.
He went to Fulham, was it?
Yeah, so, but that's another club that's not set up to be successful. Yeah. He's with Australia at the moment.
Yeah,
that's an interesting project. I don't know. I don't know what the difference is. He wasn't successful at Kerala. I don't know how they're set up, to be honest, either. But I don't know what the crack is.
There's so much going on behind the scenes, things that I personally never looked into. But now when we speak about it, some of our fans need to understand that. There needs to be people ruthless with contracts, players who stays, transfers that are going to come in. There's so much work to go around.
Rennie put in the coaching and the focus for training. But there's more to being a manager than that. Now, Rennie is probably in the top 0.1% of coaches that can do that sort of thing in the world. But then another guy that we've had on the podcast, Tony Strudwick, he integrates that with performance development. So they was always, I mean, if you go and check out both of those podcasts, they'd been really interesting to have on together, actually, because they worked together under Sir Alex, alongside Mike Phelan, who Mike Phelan is another one that I'm going to be whipping in as well, hopefully soon. So, then I only need Sir Alex, which I'm sure is a piece of piss to get on in it. I'll just text him. But I think getting the perspective from Phelan, from Strudwick, and from Rennie Mullenstein, you can sort of get the picture. Fergie really was the director of football. He had the long-term vision of the club in mind, but he was a director of football that picked a team. And he made all of that work. He made Tony Strudwick and Rennie Mullenstein and Mike Phelan knit together with the playing staff, with the academy, with everything else, with the stature of the club. You know, he was travel in your tracksuits, put your fucking suits on. This is how we do things at the club. I think we're travelling in tracksuits at the moment on European games. This was something that Sir Alex always had. It was an appearance. You do it because I'm fucking telling you to do it, and it's a disciplined thing to do it. And some of it's bullshit, but this is the manager. These are the small details that he wants you to pick up on. And I think it's very hard to replicate what he had. That's why I like to go and look at the likes of what Nagelsmann and that are doing, because I think that there's innovations. Ultimately, Sir Alex arrived at this club in 1986, and it was a club that was arguably, in 1986, a club that was stuck in the 70s. Ferguson dragged us into the 2000s, early doors. When we built Carrington, it was state-of-the-art. It's still a top 1% facility by all people that are working out of there and training out of there. But there's other methodologies that have advanced beyond us. Because United haven't been investing in that football side, Hoffenheim have overtaken us. RB Leipzig have overtaken us. There's probably some Spanish teams that have overtaken us as well, forgetting about what's going on domestically. So, you know, I think I can't believe people are saying Wenger. Are you kidding me? In the comments. Fergie's Champions League record was garbage. I wouldn't say garbage. If you look how many times we got to the semi-finals and stuff, it wasn't amazing, but it was not garbage. Anyone who wins 2 Champions League
in my lifetime
is not garbage.
If I count what it would have reached 4, I think, in my lifetime.
How do we exploit Juventus' weaknesses? I haven't a fucking clue at the moment. Play Mason Greenwood. Bosh. Do you have any more questions from the geezers on the Patreon? We still haven't had Instat through, by the way. Just thought I'd tell you that. Yeah. For those of you that are on Patreon that haven't had the link, I will post the link in a second. I think the links expire after 24 hours, so you have to get on them quick. So yeah, I'll throw it in the mixer. Right, I am going to wrap it up there. Go and give Abdul's channel a follow. Link is in the description. I'll be back tomorrow morning. There's the vlog from the game tonight, which obviously is riveting shit. Make sure you check that out. Did I see Jose's program notes? I don't really buy programs, so no. I was debating doing a suitability of Zidane video. Hit the like button if you'd like me to do that tomorrow. And I'll think about that tomorrow. I'm on a lion tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, go check Abdul out. Check Patreon out as well and see some of the benefits that you can get and some of the additional content. And hopefully I'll see some of you guys there. And in the Discord chat and everything like that for the rest of the week. And I guess we'll see you on... I don't know, when we fucking see you. See you in a bit. Laters.